How sweet it is, ladies and gentlemen. As Jackie Gleason used to say, if you remember the old Jackie Gleason show, not the Honeymooners, but when he had his sort of, I don't know, stand-up or his Tonight Show, he'd walk out there and he would say, how sweet it is. Famous. Ah, yes, yes. I love it, I love it, I love it. Welcome to the garage, ladies and gentlemen. The Thursday Facebook posting for the Court of Public Opinion. Don't know if you saw this story about First Guardian and Shields, did you? People who want you to invest in superannuation, their superannuation funds. These people live in $9 million mansions, they drive Lamborghinis, and the funds have gone. Yes, the funds have gone. Are they thieves or just really bad investors? Loopholes, I imagine that you can, if you're a clever individual, drive a truck through. Are they in jail, these people? Have they been arrested? Have they been charged with anything? But you see, they are not the only ones. There are dozens, if not hundreds of crooks looking for a share of the $4 trillion superannuation business. I was going to say 4 billion. It's $4 trillion superannuation business. Your money, our money. Thank you, Paul Keating. There are people actively looking to drag you into shonky funds. You'd imagine there would be checks and balances and roadblocks for that kind of thing. But it's a little bit like Labor's NDIS. It is set up to be shonked. Now, I'm not saying Labor is behind this. I'd be inclined to say they're incompetent. But like the NDIS, they mean well, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as always. I want to read you something which, if I can find it quickly, I thought it fascinating and interesting to mention this in light of the marches that we had around Australia on the weekend, last weekend. Something well worth talking about, I think. It says here, breaking news. Mickey Dolenz left fans in absolute awe last night with an action nobody expected, but one that will never be forgotten. And I was talking to you about 1777, the first time Old Glory, the American Stars and Stripes, were flown in battle in the War of Independence in the United States. I was talking to you about that on Tuesday's posting here on Facebook. The story goes on. It's got patriotism at the core of this story. In the middle of his concert, Mickey Dolenz, the guy who was the front person for the Monkees, Mickey Dolenz in Los Angeles, when a few anti-American chants broke out near the front of the stage. The legendary ex-monkey didn't get angry, nor did he walk away or shout or walk off the stage. Instead, he lifted his microphone and softly began singing "God Bless America." At first, it was just him. One warm, unmistakable voice, calm and steady. But within seconds, the entire crowd of more than 25,000 fans rose to their feet and joined in, creating a thunderous chorus that echoed through the California night sky. Flags waved. Tears fell. The chants faded into silence. Mickey Dolenz didn't just reclaim the stage, he reminded everyone of the true meaning of leading with calm and compassion, not anger. I don't know if this will sort of pop up anywhere. I don't have any vision, I just have the words, but it strikes me that that's the sort of thing we need in Australia. You'd have people here saying that, oh, gee whiz, you know, that's sort of very syrupy or emotional or something. I think it's wonderful. It's what countries are made of. Guinness Book of Records is 70 years old. I remember we used to, on 5DN, talk to them regularly. They were always very entertaining. I went looking for somebody for last week's show on a Friday morning, and I couldn't find anyone who would talk to me about the Guinness. They don't seem to have an Australian office anymore, which is kind of sad. Good old Guinness Book of Records. It still goes on, you know. Those two Irish twins, they were twin brothers. One was killed by the IRA, I remember. But they were the people who put the Guinness Book of Records together to settle arguments around the bar while people were drinking their Guinness. Great story. I don't know how many millions of Guinness Book of Records they've sold. Quite a few. It's 20 years since the cyclone Katrina hit Louisiana. 1,800 people died. Most of the city was swallowed up by floodwaters when the levees gave way. Nature is an amazing force, and there's not very much we can do about it. And yes, it will happen again, like the tree that came down on my driveway. Without too much wind that night, I think it was Sunday night that the tree came down. Anyway, look, if you want to live in a forest, you're going to have trees coming down. If you want to live in Louisiana, there's a lot of it that is below sea level. You know, you're sort of inviting trouble, but, you know, doesn't matter. We'll get over it. We will come through the other side of it. The Iranian ambassador has been kicked out of Australia, as you would know. Irrefutable evidence that the embassy was involved with international politics in Australia and shouldn't have been. You try doing that in Iran, you get more than the boot. Both sides of politics are in agreement, except the Libs say it's all too late, 2.5 years too late. They claim they were calling for such action back then. Not so much kicking out the ambassador, but doing something about the espionage. But I don't remember that. I don't remember them saying anything about it. This goes to the fact that I don't think the Liberals have a lot of cut-through. Or they're not closely reported, perhaps. But this is their fault. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, you've got to be loud and strong. You've got to be heard. Stop deciding what you're going to do and just do it. They look to me and sound undecided. Let's have a focus group. Let's have a review. We'll go and review everything, and within 12 months we'll come back and tell you what we believe in. God help us. Look, this is a big problem. It's bigger than the media is making it out to be. Violence in supermarkets and retail shops, with staff, unbelievably, being told not to do anything. They're told, if you catch somebody shop stealing, don't interfere. Just let them go. Even security guards are being told, don't stop them. Just let them go. What sort of a message is that to send? Where's the law and the order? The message to the general public is that you can come into any retail store and take what you like. Take whatever you like and you won't be challenged. Bunnings, did you see the story the other day? Bunnings say they will be closing stores that have become unviable because of shop stealing and violence. They lost $47,000 in just 1 month, I believe. And as for violence, when the salespeople are punched in the face and threatened with knives, apparently it's okay. Cameras are fine, but they don't deter everybody. They won't help you catch these people, clearly. We need a better system. I'm not sure what it is. We need a whole new attitude. No more tolerance. retail sales and store security. Somebody's got to come up with a better way of handling all of that. Inflation is up, so now we have to consider this, that everything really is going to be more expensive. And there probably will not be another interest rate cut, because that's what the RBA will be looking at. In Parliament, question time Wednesday, a very simple question was asked. The Libs are good at asking just this simple little question and keep asking it. I love it. The question was, when will we get the cheap electricity that Labor promised? The Labor side never answers these questions. Never, never, never. They just come up with, I don't know who writes that crap, but they won't answer the question. And why doesn't the Speaker say, I'm sorry, Minister, would you please answer the question? They don't do it. What the Labor Party did when I was listening to Question Time, they kept saying about electricity prices and the promise that they never delivered on, they kept saying, if it wasn't for the government rebates, things would be a lot worse. But remember, those rebates are in fact our money anyway. So let's look at it. What they're doing, Labor causes the problem with the renewables, then uses our money to make it a little bit more tolerable, a little bit easier. They really do think we are stupid. Answer the question. The reason they don't answer the question is, of course, they can't answer the question. It's a con. 2.39 billion profit for Qantas. A great turnaround year for Qantas. Each employee will be given $1,000 worth of shares in thanks for the company's recovery. And all the taxpayer money that was pumped into Qantas during COVID, will we be paid back for that? Do we get some shares? I don't think so. I don't think so. That tragic bus accident, a little girl is killed and others injured, some seriously. You remember, this was not this week, it was last week. The driver, and they point to the driver, well, reasonably, I suppose. Questions have to be asked. The driver was 76 years old. That is not old. But is it too old to drive a heavy vehicle? I don't know. What do you think? 0491 65 68 60 on Friday morning, 9 to 12, jeremycordeaux.com, live streaming, 9 to 12. Deloitte's the big accounting company, one of the biggest, they call them the Big Four, one of the Big Four. They've come up with this, which says quite alarmingly that allergies cost the country, the economy, $63.5 billion a year. Now, I don't know about accounting. I don't know how you'd come up with those numbers, but it's certainly a significant figure. $63.5 billion a year. Now, I think myself, allergies, I think of asthma, I think of hay fever, I think of eczema, dust mites. There are peanut allergies, a lot of things that we can be allergic to. But why is this such a growing problem? Now, I've heard it said that we're simply too clean. You know, when we were, I don't know about, Pete and Gary, but when I was growing up, we played in the backyard. We got ourselves really dirty. God knows what we came in contact with. I have no idea. But there was, I suppose there was a bottle of Dettol around the place, but that was about all. If you got cuts and bruises and scratches and whatnot. But maybe we are just too clean, and kids are now suffering. We've turned our cleanliness into a problem for them. 1 in 3 people now has an allergy. 1 in 3. What's causing this? Now, I put a call in fact it was last Friday, I put a call into the National Allergy Council of Australia. I thought, you know, they'd be back to me with somebody to talk to me about this. I'm still waiting for them to call me back. If they do, more to come. Bob Katter threatened to punch out the lights of a Channel 9 journalist. You probably saw the story. He was saying he was Lebanese. And the discussion was basically, you're talking about immigration, Bob. You're Lebanese, you know? That was the journalist's question, sort of thing. But, you know, after Bob Katter's family have been here for 160 years, it's hardly relevant. He did overreact, there's no doubt about that. I understand that. I'll punch you in the mouth, he said. Look, this is a land of immigrants. But some of those immigrants don't want to join the family. They are the problem. Bob Katter, however, is one of the many, many success stories that we should be very, very proud of. If I've got time, Pete, former Labor premiers Daniel Andrews and Bob Carr. Bob Carr was not only the Premier of New South Wales, but he was the Foreign Minister in the federal government as well. Very interesting bloke. I've spoken to him many times. He loves the American Civil War. He knows everything about the American Civil War. It's his category. Anyway, they've both been invited to be guests alongside the dictators of the communist world. Vladimir Putin, well, I don't know whether he sails under the sign of communism, but he is a dictator. Kim Jong-un, they're all going to attend a major Chinese parade at Tiananmen Square. You know where they had the massacre? This is to mark the 80th anniversary of the fall of Japan in World War II. And you've got to understand that Japan gave China a terrible, terrible, terrible time in World War II. The Chinese state media has published a list of the former and current foreign leaders, dictators, invited to observe the military parade celebrating China's anti-fascist role in that war. Well, there's obviously nothing fascist about the communist totalitarian regime of China, but nevertheless, they do get things done in China. No strikes, demonstrations, arguments, creating wealth out of poverty, thanks to Australian coal and our governmental stupidity, of course. And just if I've got a bit of indulgence here, just one more second. I had a call from someone last week who said, did you know that Anthony Albanese was a communist? And I said, I understand he is a socialist. He's from the socialist left faction of his party. But then I Googled it, and it says, yes. It says that he's always been left of the left, but this is where it got interesting. Anthony Albanese was president of the University of Sydney Communist Party. Wow. Now he would have to have been a card-carrying communist to do that, wouldn't he? I wonder why the Liberal Party or the media doesn't make something of that and maybe ask him a few questions about this strange but historical fact. Fascinating. Anyway, some birthdays. Let me give you some birthdays. I better get you my glasses. Well, get me the glasses. Yeah. September 4, ladies and gentlemen. Britain ends its policy of penal transportation to New South Wales in Australia. 1884. Now, well, there's an idea. We could have sent all those crooks that we've sent to Nauru at great expense. We could have sent them back to Great Britain and said, well, here are a few that are left over. You can have them. Oh, dear. No. William Lyons, Sir William Lyons, British industrialist, automobile manufacturer, Jaguar cars, born in Blackpool, Lancashire, 1901. 1922, William Walmsley and William Lyons officially found the Swallow Sidecar Company, later to be called Jaguar. Ah boy. Steve Irwin, 2006, Australian naturalist and TV personality, crocodile hunter, attacked and killed by a stingray at the age of 44, 2006. That would be a bizarre way to die. George Eastman patents the first roll film camera and registers the name Kodak on this day in 1888. It is the first large-scale test. Thomas Edison's light bulb is used to light New York's Pearl Street Station, 1882. Carpet that can help prevent falls among the elderly by warning them of unusual footsteps is developed 2012. What the hell happened to that? Never heard of that again. Must check that out. Romulus Augustus, the last Western Roman emperor, abdicates after forces led by Octavia invade Rome. Traditional end of the Western Roman Empire, this day in 476. The first newsboy is hired. Barney Flaherty was his name. 10 years old. He was hired by the New York Sun to go out there on this day in 1833 and sell papers. And then every city in the world had paper boys. I don't know that I ever saw a paper girl, but I'm sure there were paper girls running around. Anyway, paper boys, that's how you started in journalism. You know, when journalism was journalism. Oh dear. Okay, one more. Joan Rivers, American comedian and actress, The Late Show, Hollywood Squares, dies at 81 after serious complications from a procedure on her vocal cords. No, it wasn't plastic surgery, although she used to tell me all about her operations. I mean, she'd had more work done than you could shake a stick at. But she wasn't shy about telling people about it. Anyway, 2014, Joan Rivers died. She was wonderful. I loved her. One of the true great eccentrics. Join us tomorrow, will you? And just before I go, we're here for the Rising Sun, 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. You can talk to Jackie and Grant on 8333-0721. They'll look after you at the Rising Sun, regularly chosen as one of the best pubs or inns in South Australia. Built back in 1845. This is a big year for them. And Jim Elder Fine Art Gallery, recovering from last Sunday's auction, which was very successful. He will now be for the next, or at least the next couple of months, looking for paintings. So if you have a notable painting, an interesting painting, some painting that perhaps you have some doubts about, that you'd like to get an appraisal, a free appraisal, and perhaps put in the next Elder Fine Art auction, what you've got to do is to have a talk to him on 8267-2869. You can look it up in the book. Do we still have phone books?
No.
No, we don't have phone books. Well, you just Google it. Just say, give me Jim Elder's Fine Art phone number, will you? All right, thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget to call us tomorrow morning, 9 to 12, jeremycordeaux.com. My number is always 0491 65 68 60. Someone is stealing a car. I'll see you in the morning. Or you can do something else too. You can just get that app. Well, anyway, I'll tell you about it tomorrow. We've got to go. We're out of time. Thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself. I hope to talk to you in the morning around the dining room table. Bye for now.